Welcome back, everybody. This is Brother Meat here. Today we're doing a different video request. Someone specifically asked me to do an unmodded build for Lindsay, so just like we did with yesterday's video for Miri, I've decided there's probably two ways at least that you could take Lindsay and have some fun with her. So you could, of course, keep her range, which is, again, probably her strong point. But because she's a halfling, there's a interesting possibility for you to take her as a melee character and kind of tank it up a little bit. And she's not going to be as good as Valerie, let's just be clear on this. She'll be solid, though. And again, with the spells that she has, she'll be even better than solid. She'll be actually a pretty goddamn good off-tank. Notice that we are using mods, but that's just so we can power level the character. I have highlight learnable scrolls. That's nothing that you actually give a damn about. And hair unlocker, I finally got it updated, so that's actually working, but that's not going to change anything either. So let's actually get into it, shall we? So we have started a new game so that I could get access to Lindsay without mods. She's right here with me and Tartuccio. I leveled the both of us to level 2 just so we wouldn't have to worry about dying in any kind of silly ass fight. So you can kind of showcase what she's capable of doing. But I gave her enough to level her up from 1 to 20. So that's where we're at right now. So let's actually look at her build first to see what we're talking about. Lindsay is a bard. Now, of course, when we say there's a couple ways we could take her. There's actually a lot of ways we could take Lindsay. Because she's a bard, we could take her Dragon Disciple. I know that sounds crazy because, again, she doesn't actually have a lot of spells that fall into any of the 4 elements of dragon type. So no acid spells really. She has like maybe one spell that's going to do electric damage, and she doesn't have but like maybe one spell or two that does cold damage. She has 2 or 3 spells that'll do fire damage, and that's about it. If you really wanted to take a bard build Dragon Disciple, in my opinion, A, you would have started off with someone that had strength, and B, you would have started off with someone that instead of being just a generic bard, you would have been I think they call them flame dancers, fire dancer, something like that. And the reason for that is at a certain level, I want to say level 8 or 9, they actually give them access to 3 fire spells. So they give them Burning Hands, Burning Arc, and Fireball. Stuff that she would normally not have access to. And again, that's kind of cool because then you'd have 3 spells plus an illusion spell is the one I'm thinking of, Shadow Evocation, that has access to fire twice, because again you have Volcanic Storm, Fireball, and then of course you could turn it into a Lightning Bolt, hence an electric spell, or an Ice Storm spell. So again, cold technically falls in that category, and of course Shout, which again she would have had access to anyway as a traditional bard. So again, you could have gone that route, and I have done those builds I think in the past. Feel free to look at my old content for various builds. It may have been modded, it may be unmodded, I can't remember. Probably it was modded because I'm having so much fun with mods, but someone specifically asked for an unmodded build for Lindsay. Again, that's what we're here for today. Notice they give you extra performance right off the bat at level 1. There's nothing you can do about that. That's always going to be there. Now, we have some interesting things that you get for being a bard. First off, let's talk about what she can actually wield. Simple weapons are her thing. Long swords, rapier, short sword, and short bow. That's a variety of different things. Remember, because she is a halfling, if you give her martial weapon proficiency, which she currently does not have, she should be able to wield a sling staff, because sling staffs are halfling weapons, martial weapons, as far as they're concerned. For everybody else, it falls under the category of exotic, because apparently back and forth with a stick is just too much to master for anybody other than a halfling. I don't understand it, but whatever, it's a thing. So if you really wanted that, and again, keep a range, and it's a different type of ranged attack, that's a solid choice. The downside of those ones are sling staffs are dex based to hit, strength based for damage, kind of like a composite longbow or short bow. Now, the obvious choice then for keeping her range would be to do something like crossbow. Light, heavy, again, the world is your oyster. I will say that while there's a really good heavy crossbow in the game, a Myth Slayer, I think is what it's called, or Myth Buster, or something silly like that, it does epic damage. And again, would be baller for her. Don't kid yourself. There's more light crossbows that you'll find, in my opinion, and I think that light crossbow would probably the way you would keep her. That only matters if you're going to grab things like weapon focus crossbow, and you have to pick which one, light crossbow or heavy crossbow. So again, just know that that's a thing. We'll do the first build as range, which would be what I would consider the preferred method of leveling Lindsay up as a traditional bard, which means we're going to take her all the way to 20 as a bard. We're not dipping in anything else. We're not going monk crazy so that we can have like extra charisma for our armor class. So again, she could, if you wanted to be a melee fighter, take a tiny dip into Scaled Fist Monk and really monk it up pretty heavy with that extra charisma, the extra dexterity that she has, and really kind of crush it, quite frankly, as a melee combatant, tanking it like crazy. That would be the second build that I'm going to show you. So let's actually do this first one. So notice, while she has a decent dexterity, it's not amazing. 16 is solid. She gets a nice little bonus though because she's teeny tiny person. So again, it's easier for her to hit people. It's harder for people to hit her. So when we look at her armor class, you'll also see that she gets a size bonus for that as well. Again, pretty damn cool. They did not, sadly, give her anything like point blank shot, precise shot, anything that would be useful for her being a ranged attacker, which means you really are kind of screwed until about level 3. And that's just going to be a thing. So let's actually show you what I'm talking about. So if we level her up, notice that we have these cool bard talents. And if you're not playing with mods, these become extremely restrictive. However, those restrictions are actually okay for what we're shooting for today. Notice that as a bard, first she had trickery unlocked, arcana, knowledge world. She had persuasion and use magic advice, so she gets 5 points every level. Looks like she's going to get 5. I would highly recommend that you actually go out of your way to unlock everything for her, with possible exception of athletics, and even that's not the worst idea ever, because again, she is a halfling. She's sure-footed, racial trait +2, so she's better than you think for all these skills. It's really kind of weird that, again, bards get access to everything. Again, they are the jack of all trades, master of none kind of deal. But again, that's not necessary if you want to go solid choice for Lindsay, in my opinion. Again, perception is always a must. Trickery is a solid choice for her until you get Octavia. You have someone that pick locks and disarm traps. Again, Lindsay can buff herself. She can buff Octavia. Again, she's not going to be amazing at it compared to some people on your team, but she will be a solid contender. And it's easy to get her on the party right at the beginning. Basically, as long as you're a relatively stand-up person, when the lady Jamandi or Aldori, whatever the hell her name is, ask you what you were doing and why you were doing it, if you basically behave like a human being, Lindsay pretty much kisses your ass and says, I like this guy, and she joins you. Other possible choices here. Remember when we level her up, notice that knowledge arcana, knowledge world, lore nature, and lore religion will get a bonus. See how it says bardic knowledge? All bards have this with the exception of one. And again, it doesn't matter because Lindsay's not that type of bard. So again, she will actually have a bonus, as you can see, the +1, +1, +1, to all these 4 skills, which means you definitely want to unlock them bare minimum. As she levels up, I want to say that bardic knowledge is equal to her bard level divided by 2. So at bard level 20, at the end of the build, she'll have a +10 to each of these goddamn things. And I'm fairly certain that that's accurate. Again, we can prove that to ourselves right here. Yeah, half his level, minimum of 1. To all knowledge and lore skill checks, and may make all knowledge and lore skill checks untrained, which means you may think to yourself, oh, well then I don't need to unlock these things, because again, you can get up to a 10 in them naturally. But remember, just 1 point in them, because of the green check mark, gives you another +3. So 1 turns into 4. And again, if you take it no farther than that, I'm actually okay with that. Because again, lore nature and lore religion, that's going to key off of wisdom. That's not something that she's going to have a lot of. If you wanted to keep pushing these 4 stats, you can make her the know-it-all, if you will, of the party. But then you only get 1 more point to spend. Where are you going to spend it? Well, again, perception is always important. So if you're not going to constantly dump it into those 4 and perception, then trickery is going to fall behind. You see the problem. She's just not going to be amazing at everything like you want. But again, jack of all trades, master of none is kind of what the bard's great at. So unlocking everything is actually kind of cool for me. From here, the thing that makes bard talent useful for you, let's actually show you the unavailable. Honestly, in this list, there's 2 things that are really the standouts, and I know it's silly, but weapon focus, so you can just at any time decide that you're good at a specific weapon that she has skill in, and make sure you're picking the weapon that she does have skill in. For example, let's see if I can find you something that she does not have skill in. She does not have skill in... Actually, I think everything on here is something that she has access to. That's awesome. Good news. But basically, you'd want to kit because she's a dex-based character. More likely than not, if you're going to be a meleeer, you would want to get, say, like weapon finesse and therefore weapon focus in something that is a light weapon. So in this list, light weapons that would matter to her would be things like dagger, rapier, which would be my choice for her, quite frankly. Short sword is a fine choice. I don't think short spear counts as that. Sickle might be. But again, there's at least 3 things in here that would be solid choices. And there's plenty of really good daggers in the game too. So again, if you want a turtle up tank with her, so to speak, there's a lot of really good daggers, and you could turn her into a 2-weapon wielding son of a bitch like no one's business. The next thing that would be of value to you, which is we're going to use right now, is Combat Trick. Combat Trick unlocks a shit ton of different stuff, including Weapon Focus, so it seems a little silly that Weapon Focus is on this list. But notice that it allows us to get things like Point Blank Shot, Weapon Finesse, and again, Arcane Strike. A variety of just awesome things here that, as you can see, are basically fighter/magic type stuff, which makes her awesome because, again, every time she gets this, she has access to that same Combat Trick. Now, sadly, pen and paper version, Combat Trick, you can only grab it once and you're done. That's fine, but for this game, the vanilla version of the game, they did not do that. With mods, they have. So again, know that if you're using mods, this is not a viable option because you will just grab it once and be like, yay, and then you'll try to grab it again and you're like, where the hell is it? It's gone. But for this vanilla unmodded version, this is viable every damn time. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 feats that you can grab that are damn near the equivalent of the 10 that you're getting up here. So she's technically going to get 15 feats that could be solid melee or fighter, if you will, fighting feats, or combat feats, if you will. And notice that's only by grabbing Combat Trick. Other stuff, though, that is available to her. Again, you'll notice that she has a laundry list of stuff down here, and there's some really good stuff down here as well. Notice that Blinding Strike at the highest level. Notice that she needs advanced talents. That actually shows up for her. Does it show up for her? I thought they got advanced talents at level 10. Maybe I'm missing it. Jack of all trades, Bard talent. Okay, maybe I'm mistaken. I could have sworn advanced talents shows up at level 10. What we got here? Nothing. Those are her songs. Swift action. Yeah, okay. Maybe I was mistaken. Maybe it's a different kind of bard. Because some bards have access to all these things, some do not. That seems weird, though. I could have sworn it was. Maybe it will show up at 10 and it's just not listed here for some silly-ass reason. These are notoriously bad for tooltips, because you'll find stuff all the time that's like at level 3, it looks like you're getting nothing, and suddenly you have a pet familiar, and you're like, what? So again, we will find that out. Notice, though, that Confounding Blades, again, another advanced talent required. Crippling Strike, another advanced talent required. Again, Sneak Attack required as well. She doesn't do Sneak Attack. So again, there's a lot of reason here that this is probably part of the problem. Double Debilitation, Familiar, Improved Evasion, Uncanny Dodge. Now this one here requires Rogue, Eldritch Scoundrel level 4. So yeah, so it's looking like these combat tricks are being limited to other classes, and maybe that's the reason that we're getting stuff that we can't grab. And that's okay. If they do show up, though, again, obvious choices for me. I love Uncanny Dodge, Improved Uncanny Dodge. I love Evasion and Improved Evasion. But again, it looks like we're not going to have access to those without specific talents. And it doesn't look like we're going to get those. So I would keep it probably to combat tricks. Now, of the stuff that's in here, you could make her a skill monkey. Skill focus is extremely nice. And again, for those of you that don't know, you can pick any one of these once and grab multiple ones. So you could make her really good at those 4 things, the knowledges and the lores, for example. And why is that important? Because if you keep investing in them, not only do you get a +3 for them for just picking this feat, when you get to 10 ranks or more invested in any of them, you get 6 points instead of 3. So now at 10, +1, +6, so 16, +3, because again you got the green check mark next to it like you do for all your skills. So again, 10 and 6 make 16, 3 more make 19 by just investing 10, 10, 10, and 10 in the knowledges and the lores and grabbing these 4 skills. You could be at a solid 19, and that's before we take into account your bardic knowledge, which could add another 10 more by the end of the build. So instead of 19, you could be at a 29, a 29, a 29, and a 29. And again, you don't have to stop at 10. You could invest all the way to 20. So 20 plus 6 is 26, plus the 3 makes 29, plus the 10 more makes a 39. You could have in all 4 of those stats. If you really wanted those skills to be awesome, you may do so. I'm not going to do that. Again, we'd like to use Combat Trick for obvious reasons. We're going to grab Point Blank Shot. So here's your Point Blank Shot. Spells are something that might differ depending on whether you're being a ranged attacker or a melee tank type build. By and large, I usually keep them the same. That doesn't mean you have to. You do have limited picks because you are a spontaneous caster. Notice that she has an ear-piercing scream. You'll find that sonics are a staple with bards, not surprisingly. And the fact that they can actually heal, which is pretty baller because you can use her as a temp healer or watered-down cleric, if you will. It's one of the reasons why most people like having bards on the team. But there are good spells in this list, even if it is the vanilla version. Let me walk you through the ones that I think are worth a damn. Expeditious Retreat, even though it's a personal effect, is still useful because, again, placement on the battlefield is always helpful. Feather Step I have never found a use for. It really is one of the weirdest little spells, and it's one of those where, immunity to difficult terrain comes in handy, don't kid yourself. But by and large, I've never found Feather Step to be anything more than I should just grab this in either potion or scroll form and cast it that way. Or a wand, even for that matter. Flare Burst, on the other hand, is a nice AoE move, and again, it's just like Flare, but AoE, not teammate friendly. Literally dazzle targets. That's like a -1 to their attack bonus, a -1 to their perception. So again, and it lasts for a minute if they fail that fortitude check. The fact that it can hit multiple guys, probably at least one of them is going to fail that check. And again, that's technically extra armor for you and your team, or a penalty to the bad guy swing. Same difference. So again, pretty damn cool. Grease, a staple spell. This is one that I love on my Magus. You better believe that someone on Lindsay that can cast it at a moment's notice, this will be something that's worth a damn. We might even grab that right now. Of these other ones, notice that bards are really good at a few things that just, it seems odd to me. For example, they excel at things like enchantments. They also excel at things like illusions, and I don't see an illusion in here yet, besides Vanish, of course. So you'll see those two schools are going to be prominent. Another school that's oddly prominent is going to be Conjuration. And it's a sad state of affairs when you actually have a bard that's just going to be summoning monsters 1 through 6. Yes, you can do that, but it's still one of those where I'm just not a fan. And because you're playing this unmodded, I don't think you can respec out of spells. With mods, like Eldritch Arcana at least, as you level up a bard, you will get the ability after you get your level 2 spells, the very next level, it will say, do you want to keep all your level 1 spells? You may take one away, and they'll refund it to you, and you can come back into the same exact list and pick something completely different. So again, that's cool. I don't think they've added this to the vanilla version of the game. So that's why this is really important. What you pick is going to be something that you better like, because it's going to be something you're going to use all the time. For example, I would say Sleep is an amazing spell early levels. You can get it at level 2 for her. This is a solid fuck you to a lot of fights. You just cast it, bad guys go nappy nap bye-bye time, and you walk over there and just kill a bunch of people. Freaking awesome. However, once you get to 4 HD worth of bad guys and higher, you're not putting anyone to sleep, and again, it's a wasted spell. If you could spec out of it, then at that point I would say do so. The fact that it's teammate friendly, it's an amazing spell. It lasts a long time. It's an amazing spell. But because I don't think we can spec out of these, it's going to be one of those where I'll say pass. Hypnotism, on the other hand, while it does have a cap, it does have a random die roll to see how many HD you affect, as well as how long it lasts. It's teammate friendly still. And 2d4 means minimum of 2, maximum of 8. That means we can also use a maximized magic rod on it to guarantee 8. We could also empower it to guarantee 12. And you can see that this will last you for a good long while in this game. So while this may not be something that you're going to be using from start to finish, start to at least the middle to the probably 3/4 into the game is a solid upgrade. And I would happily recommend a spell like that. Better than that, though, is my Hideous Laughter. This one never gets old. It never fails you. I mean, sure, they can make their check and all that stuff, but I mean, it never runs out as far as like there's an HD cap. So it always has the potential for an effect. And again, it thematically fits with the jovial nature, if you will, of the bard. And I know that's a silly reason for picking it, but the fact that it works is the reason you're picking it. Notice that it doesn't work on monsters that have an intelligence score of 2 or less, because they just, quite frankly, just don't get the joke. So again, Hideous Laughter won't work on animals, for example. But again, for what you need it for, this is a solid choice. So my suggestion to you is either take a Hideous Laughter, Grease, or Flare Burst right now. Notice that being well versed, she gets a little bonus to saves against other bards, whether it's their bardic performance trying to penalize them, sonic attacks and stuff like that. She, again, in language dependent effects, like other spells against her, she'll get a bonus to her saving throw, which again is another reason that bards are pretty kind of cool. Go to level 3. Well, now remember, we just grabbed ourselves a point blank shot. Now it's time for us to get precise shot. Now I'm going to level up perception at this point to make sure it never falls behind. Perception is one of the main stats, if you've never followed any of my videos, that every character on your team should quite frankly invest in. You don't have to go crazy in it. If you only have, for example, 2 skill points, or maybe a skill point and then 2, then a skill point and then 2, because you have like a really crappy intelligence and you didn't pick a human, for example. Again, I still recommend that you at least invest 5 to 10 points into perception, because it really is that important. You don't want to miss traps. You don't want to miss hidden doors. You don't want to miss treasure, right? So if everyone is spying for stuff, which is what perception is, this is a solid upgrade for the whole party. From there, notice we still have plenty of points left. I can just jack trickery up, like I said, and now I still have the ability to unlock stealth. Now we literally have unlocked everything, and at this point, I would say, find what you like about Lindsay after level 3 and say, that's what I'm going to invest in. So we'll always invest in perception. Probably don't need to take trickery too much higher, because again, we're about to get somebody probably, or you already have somebody at this point, that's already filling the role better than her. Octavia, for example. Hell, maybe even your main character. So you don't need to go crazy into trickery for her. But again, there's a lot of good stuff that she's good at. She's good at athletics, as we've pointed out, because she has that racial trait. But she's bad at it because, again, she has a low strength stat. For mobility, she's great with dexterity, but notice also she's sure-footed. Again, something that she gets for being a halfling. So again, you can push mobility through the goddamn roof and make me happy. She's a teeny tiny person. As weird as that sounds, she gets a bonus to stealth because it's harder to see her because she's a teeny tiny person. It's freaking awesome. And she will also have those spells like Vanish, Invisibility. I don't remember if she gets greater invisibility, but she'll get the stuff that would allow her to be a really good stealther, which again, it's her cup of tea. It fits what she does. So again, the dex-based stats kind of are her thing, but she's also just as good with these guys, as we've pointed out. Remember, she's already rocking +1 bardic knowledge at level 4. She's going to get another +1 to each of these. So while we're at a 7, a 7, a 5, and a 5, very next level, without investing in these at all, we go up to an 8, an 8, 6, and a 6. And again, if you wanted to like lean heavy into one or more of these, I highly encourage you to do so. And you may say, well, isn't she a charisma-based caster? Persuasion and use magic device. If you light this up, you'll see that this lights this up as well. So charisma is a main stat for her. So is dexterity. This is going to be something that she should be good at, right? Yes and no. Persuasion is not useful for most characters in this game unless you're using it for a specific type of build. And for her, that would be a melee build, which again, I can show you here in a bit. Use magic device, on the other hand, is always a solid choice. However, you need to understand how use magic device is used in this game. A lot of people get this wrong. I think it's worth the time to spend to explain why people get this wrong. In pen and paper, when people do use magic device, when you get, like, let's say you get a piece of gear, like a shield, okay? You got a shield that you can wield, but only if you're good, and she's not good. Let's say she's lawful neutral. But if you have enough use magic device in pen and paper, you basically trick the shield, the magical shield, into thinking you're good because you have enough use magic device. That's a thing. That does not happen in this game. If it says you have to be evil, you can't use it unless you are evil. If it says you have to be a paladin and you're not a paladin, having use magic device through the fucking roof will not matter one whit. So again, be real clear on this. All use magic device is really used for you is for wands and scrolls in this game, and the only wands and scrolls you would need to do a use magic device check on were for scrolls and wands with spells that are not part of your normal spell list. Not even the spells that she picks. We're talking about any spell she could have picked. So if you take every bardic spell, if she had a use magic device of 0, and she picked up a wand, let's say Expeditious Retreat, she decided she never needed it. So she never picked it, it's not in her spellbook. But if she had a use magic device of 0, she would still be able to take a wand or a scroll and cast that spell, boom, instantaneously. So again, her list is pretty impressive. Bards have a very large spell list. It's not as good as a sorcerer or a wizard. It's certainly different than a magus or an inquisitor, but by and large, it is a solid list. So you don't have to go heavy into use magic device if you know what her strong suit is. If you know what her spells are, like the cure spells that she has, the summoning spells that she does, the illusion and enchantments that she has, Again, you can just pass her them fucking wands and scrolls, man, and just have her go to town. She could have this at a nothing and be fucking happy. So again, it's not really necessary for her build. Yes, you could go into it, and yes, she gets a bonus for it because of this beautiful, beautiful charisma stat. So again, that's a thing. But if you're really going to be casting, say, let's say she wants to cast wizard spells, like stuff like she doesn't have access to, like fireball, the cool shit, right? That's kind of the reason you'd probably go into use magic device for a bard. So how much would you need? Well, okay, so let's talk about what use magic device check actually does. Normally you have to roll a die roll, 1d20, to see if you can use the item, the wand or the scroll. Good news is it doesn't matter if it's a wand or a scroll. If it's just fireball, it's fireball, period. Now, fireball is a level 3 spell for a wizard. So what they do for use magic device, if you can't cast it, normally, you do a use magic device check. And that check is, I want to say, 20 plus the level of the spell. So 20 plus level 3 fireball should be at 23. You'd have to roll a 23 or higher. Well, if you're rolling a 1d20, obviously that's not enough. Hence the use magic device bonus. So you'd have to roll 23 minus your 7, which would be, what is that, 16? So she would have to roll at this point right now, with just this 1 point invested in it, she would have to roll a 16 or better to use that fireball spell, which in combat is not reliable. I think we can all agree on that. The chances that she would just fail that and just be like wasting her turn trying to cast it is pretty obvious. So what are you shooting for? Well, I would suggest, for example, that you get this goddamn number over here, the plus 2 plus 20. Why? Because that takes away the 20, and now all you need to do is roll whatever the level of the spell is. So maybe it's a wizard spell level 9 that she's trying to cast. Something that she would never have access to, I guarantee it, because her spells stop at level 6. So all she would have to do is roll a 1d20 and roll a 9 or better. That's better than a 50-50 chance, because remember, she's rolled 1d20. She needs a 9, a 10, 11, all the way up to 20. Any of those work. So that's why I usually stop when this gets to, on this side, about a 20. And again, we don't even have to get it that high, because why? Because again, we're going to give her charisma gear. So this is going to make this number go up, which will make this number go up. So again, as long as you know what use magic device is used for, you can probably stop when you've leveled this up, where this number here is probably a solid 15. And again, that's definitely not 20, and that's certainly not you investing 20 goddamn points in it. So again, you don't have to go heavy or balls to the wall, so to speak, with use magic device. That's good enough. And again, that might interest you. I don't care. We're going to have casters on the team. You got really good casters with Tristan and Octavia, and probably your main tune, because quite frankly, let's face it, being a caster is awesome. And Lindsay can cast plenty of spells on her own. She does not need use magic device. So either invest in it decently or don't bother at all, is my advice to you. Having said all that, I know that's a long amount of time to talk to get to level 3, guys, I grant you. But we'll notice that this is the soonest we can get her precise shot. This is why Lindsay kind of sucks, quite frankly, being a ranged character, because you had to take point blank shot here, and then that means the soonest you can grab precise shot is this one. Again, you can get around this problem by not having her shoot at guys that are already engaged in melee. So get those guys, like she can take out the archers, the casters, stuff like that. But eventually it's going to fall down to you, Valerie, whoever else is on the party, harem, whatever, in the melee brawl, and she has to shoot into that melee brawl, and without precise shot, she's at a -4 penalty to her swing. And that straight up sucks. Yes, it's probably close range, so she'll get a bonus +1, but remember, she's also got a +3 to her dexterity, so that's a +4 for a ranged attack, and then she's got a BAB right now of, let's see, a 1 and a 2, so she's probably at a 4, she's at a 6. So it is a +6, but then -4. Now she's back down to a +2. Maybe you give her a masterwork crossbow. That's a solid choice, and I highly recommend you do so. For every character, they should have a masterwork weapon. That's at least a +1 to her swing. So now she's back up to a +3. And on normal difficulty, that's more than enough. On the next higher difficulty, that's probably still fine. If you're trying hard difficulty or unfair or higher, no. This is going to suck. That's why precise shot's amazing, and you definitely want it on a ranged build. Okay. Notice that she has another song, Inspire Competence. This is a competence bonus +2 to her and her allies for when it comes to things like skill checks. So again, this will steadily get better. As you can see, it goes from +2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to finally +6 at the very end here at level 19. And again, you will routinely in or outside of combat run into, oh, there's a clear and obvious skill check here. Look at the team, who's the person that's going to activate it. Do a quick save, activate this song for 1 round and 1 round only. Just going to turn it on and then click the person that needs to do the check. Have that person do the check because now they're at a +2, a +3, a plus whatever, and they have a more likely than not chance to pass that check. Maybe they won't make it. You have to scum save it a little bit. But by and large, this is what Lindsay's going to be on the party for, to help anyone, including her, make that check. Now, spell-wise, we have a nice solid auto-hit spell. We have a nice damaging undead or healing the team spell. We have a decent crowd control spell, even if it's only one person. What else might be of value to you? You may say, well, let's go Vanish. Maybe let's get Summon Monster. Having pets out on the battlefield are nice, but these ones straight up suck. They're only one level, or one pet you get to summon. They only last at this point for 3 rounds. That's not nowhere near good enough. And I'd rather you wait till at least level 2 where you have 2 choices of pets, where you get 1 or 1d3. Again, that's on you on that one. Notice, you may say, well, here's Touch of Gracelessness. Why not grab this one? This is a solid fuck you to the target's dexterity. Notice, again, the duration is not great. There's nothing wrong with that. She'll build into it. But notice that it's the range of touch. If this was a Ray spell, like Ray of Enfeeblement, then this would be a better choice. Because she doesn't have it as a Ray spell. Because she literally would have to walk over and touch him on the shoulder. This is a bad idea. For a melee build, I would totally take this. She's not a melee build this time around. Again, I've mentioned how Expeditious Retreat is a solid choice. I do like being able to run faster. Maybe that's not your thing. On the other stuff in here, again, she's also very good because bards are kind of fall in that weird category of they're not clerics, they're not divine casters, but they have some divine type spells. Cure Light Wounds being a fine example, Unbreakable Heart being another one of those weird examples. This is protection. Remember, this is some saving throw bonus against mind-affecting spells that rely on negative emotions like Crushing Despair, Rage, Fear effects, and again, that straight up sucks. Now, that's awesome. Also works on things like Confusion, but to keep reading. If the target is already under such an effect, when receiving this spell, that effect is suppressed. So if someone on your team gets confused, and it's not Lindsay, and she has access to the spell, when it's her turn, she can walk over to that dude, cast a spell on them, well, within close range anyway, cast a spell on them, and now they're no longer confused, or feared, or have rage, or any number of those other penalties. That's awesome. So I like the fact that it's 2 versions of this spell. There is the preemptive protection, there is the suppressing of the effect that you can use after the effect takes hold. And again, that's pretty damn cool. If that's not your thing, the only other thing in this list that I love, quite frankly, is Flare Burst or Grease. And I like Grease. Grease is a good crowd control spell. So again, for a vanilla version of the game, it will suit you well. Now, we have to start deciding where to invest her points. Again, if you're going to lean heavy into her casting, you may say, well, let's get 5 points into this. Well, that would be wasteful because you don't need to end on an odd number for charisma. 4 in here is good enough, so taking it to 20 is a solid choice. And that gives her more spells a day, and her DC checks are better. I am fine with that. I'm also fine with her being really good at being a dexterous character because, again, that's, again, her cup of tea. You may even say, let's give her 2 points of intelligence to give her even more skill points to dink around with because, again, the more the merrier. She's got green check marks across the board, and 5 skill points at every level is not good enough. So maybe that's your thing. Maybe you want it to be 6 or 7 or however many it gives you. And, again, that's cool. I can't tell you not to do that. I would shy away from wisdom. It's not that it's not helpful. I mean, will checks are nice, but she's, as you can see, doing well for reflexes, good for will saves. Fortitude is her weak spot, and she's already got some good con, no less, as well. So this is technically her worst category. So if this is her worst category, maybe you think, well, hey, let's give her some con. Again, you can do that. More HP is always nice. More Fortitude is always nice. But it's really not benefiting anything other than those 2 things. And that seems silly. Really, it's all about the dex. I would take dexterity to a 20. And then the last point, remember, because an odd number is an odd number, the only thing on this list that would benefit from an odd number is honestly strength. There's a rare exception to the rule where like an intelligence of 13 or a dex of 13 or 17 or 15 gets you a feat or access to a feat. So there is that. But she's going to, again, take this one all the way to 20. There's no need to make it an odd number. And there's no reason to take intelligence to 13. She's already at 14. So again, we're already good in that regard. So 1 point's going to go into strength eventually. 4 points are going to go into dexterity from start to finish. That's what we're going to do. So we'll do 4 in dex, 1 in strength at the very, very end, and then call that quits. As far as skill points are concerned, again, we always want perception up. You need to decide how high you need to take that trickery. So trickery is already at a +10. Honestly, I think you can probably stop here. Unless you really know that she's going to be like part of the main team always. You always got Octavia. Eventually you get a character called Knock Knock. And again, maybe your character just happens to be a trickery thieving son of a bitch too. I don't know. But Lindsay's good enough at the +10. She can buff herself besides with spells and songs and all kinds of other shit that makes her awesome when it comes to trickery. +10 is more than enough to get you through for a decent amount of the game. From there, Octavia will be better, and then past that, Knock Knock, when he finally joins the party, he'll be infinitely better. So again, there's no need to push this beyond that. I do recommend, though, that you at least take mobility to 3 for a couple reasons. Remember, 1, she has sure-footed, so she gets a bonus, so she's at a solid bonus right now. That +11 is realistic. Notice also that if you ever fight defensively, mobility of 3 allows you to fight defensively and get an extra armor class bump. It's only 1, and that may be not enough for you. But you better believe on the melee build that we're about to show you at the end of this video that this will be something that she'll invest in heavily. So if that's not your thing, again, feel free to take that down. Maybe you want to make her a stealther. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. She'll have vanish, invisible, and all that cool shit, making this number go high, high, high. And again, the 10 is actually unrealistic. She's at a 14 because of her teeny tiny status. So again, she could be your little ninja. As weird as it is to have a bard screaming a song all over the place and her still walking the battle hidden, that's something you can do in this game, which I still think is a dumb idea. But, sorry, it's not a dumb idea. It doesn't make sense to me. How the hell are you singing a song for the team and no one can see where your invisible body's at? That seems dumb. So I would never play a bard that goes stealth like that. If you could convince me that the bardic song is like ultrasound or something like that, where no one else can hear it, so therefore it's magic, and therefore that's how you're doing it, that I suppose I could fit in my little pea brain. But again, that's on you. Persuasion, we mentioned this before, is not necessary for her unless you're going for a build that uses things like intimidation checks, feint attacks, things of this nature where persuasion comes in handy. That's not her build. She's going to be standing at distance, casting spells, buffing the team, debuffing the bad guys, crowd controlling, and shooting things with her kick-ass light crossbow. So there's no real reason to go in persuasion. Again, use magic device is appealing. We talked about this already. Again, is it necessary? Yeah. Remember, you do want to get it good. If I invest in charisma, as far as gear is concerned, like I said, I can get this up another 4 or 5 points. This could be a solid +5 here, so that means we're already at a solid +15. Remember, we wanted to be about at a 20. I would only have to invest like 5 more points in this, and then I'd be done with use magic device. I'd never touch it again. And that might be a thing. That could be something I could get behind. But now, 1 level or 1 point in perception always, 4 more points to spend. Notice that I can put those 4 points in these guys here. So you may say, well, why not just do that? Well, then who gets the one that doesn't get the extra point? What is the one that you don't care about? It's because someone's always going to be behind, and that sucks. And that just bugs my little brain. So again, I'm going to spend them when I can spend them in blocks of 2, like this way, maybe like so. And then I'll spend 2 in here, and then another one in use magic device, and just bounce back and forth, back and forth, back and forth as I see fit. But that's kind of on you to how you level this stuff up. Nothing is really that impressive or that necessary. I can even go like so, like I said, and feel pretty good about myself. So again, it's on you. Level 2 spells. Now, if she's part of a team or she's doing damage, you do want her to be able to take a shot or 2 to the face. Solid spells that fit in this category are things like Blur, early levels, Cat's Grace, if you can spec out of it, which we don't even know that you can do that. Delayed Poison is amazing for protection for you or the team. Heroism is an amazing buff. Mirror Image is solid protection for her. And that probably fits the entire list of stuff that she can do to protect herself. Now, if you want her to do damage, Sense Vitals allows her to do sneak attack damage. It doesn't last for long. But again, she's got enough stealth on her, and we can actually make her pretty good at stealth and give her invisibility or vanish, or even probably greater invisit, like level 4 spells, and give her the ability to make herself a ninja bastard that can do some damage with that crossbow. That's a solid choice. If you wanted to do more crowd control, things like blindness, cacophonous call, Glitter Dust is a solid choice. Whole Person is here. Scare is okay. This is one of the... There's 3 fear spells in the game. So there's Cause Fear, level 1. Scare, level 2. Then level 3 or 4, there's one that's called Fear. Of those 3, the only one that's worth a damn, in my opinion, is Fear. This one's okay, but it has an HD cap. So does Cause Fear. It has an HD cap. It's the lesser of these 2. So Cause Fear is the crappy one. Scare is the next crappy one. And then Fear is solid. So I would not pick up Scare unless you get spec on it. Notice that Sound Burst is in here, and this one serves dual purpose. Sound Burst can do damage. It's lame, but it can also do an AoE stun. It's not teammate friendly, and there is spell resistance, which straight up sucks. But for sonic damage, is not heavily resisted in this game. I know that's not impressive because it's only 1d8. But in AoE format, especially early levels, that could really put a whooping on a decent amount of bad guys. And the fact that it could stun them is useful. But again, I probably would shy away from it. As far as your summons are concerned, now you're starting to get to a summon that actually matters. I still wouldn't take it. I wait till you get to the level 3 version, except for possibly summon Small Elemental. While you may say these guys are going to straight up suck, and they definitely are going to die very quickly. They don't last very long either. 4 rounds of shit. But they're hard to hit because they are small. It's kind of like Lindsay. So a small Fire Elemental, a small Air Elemental, they have decent armor as a result of being tiny and having good dexterity. The Earth Elemental, he's strong, but he's also still tiny, so it's hard to hit him. And the motherfucker has, like, of the 4, the best natural armor. So again, he's hard to hit too. The Water guy is probably the one on this list that's kind of shit. But again, depending on what you need, you may find that any of these are viable options. I still maintain that you want to shy away from summons until at least level 3 stuff though. So what are we going to take then, brother? Well, like I said before, I love some Blur, and I always like the ability to either A, heal when I can, and again, remember that's damaging for undead, or buff when I can, other teammates. So Blur and Heroism are 2 solid choices. You may say Sense Vitals is worth a damn, and I agree. However, you don't have the ability to really set it up on yourself for very long, and you don't really have the ability to make yourself invisible yet, not counting potions and wands and such. So I would shy away from it for the time being. We'll pick it up, just not right now. So go with something like Heroism, go with something like Glitter Dust, go with something like Cure Moderate Wounds. Hell, if you're going crazy wizard on your party, like maybe your main character or Octavia is really leaning heavy into the wizard shit, you might want to grab Delay Poison. Because again, the ability to put hours-long buffs on teammates where they're immune to things like Stinking Cloud and Cloud Kill, that's fucking money. So this could be of valid use to you. I still maintain though that Heroism being that it's a bonus to your character or your teammates, whatever, swing, their saves, and skill checks across the board for many minutes is a solid option. So we're going to go with Heroism. Going Bard, knows we're getting a bonus to our song. Again, we're done with Trickery. We put 1 in Perception, and now we can do like this. See that? And again, how are we doing right now? We got +2 to Bardic Knowledge, so we're at a +9, +9, +7, +7. That's actually pretty good. What are we going to do now? So we have the 2 things we need to make sure that we shoot with the crossbow decent. We cannot get Rapid Shot. Yes, we can. So it's Many Shot. Sorry. I'm trying to remember which ones we can use with the crossbow, which ones we can only use with a bow. Rapid Shot we can use, and we will do so, getting us an extra attack at a -2 penalty. That's perfectly fine. Hell, Heroism, the spell we just picked up, will offset that penalty. But we'll also want another one called Deadly Aim. Does she have access to that yet? Yeah, this one up here. And again, this is another penalty, but a bonus to damage. Much in the same vein as Power Attack, but basically with a ranged weapon. The one we can't get is called Many Shot, because that has to come from a bow. So this is still a solid choice, so Rapid Shot it is. From here, what else do we have on our list that we wanted? So far we got buffs, and more buffs. Do we want to get that heal? Or do we want to get that Delay Poison? Do we want to get that Sense Vitals now? I'd still maintain that, or Mirror Image even for that matter, another buff. I maintain that Delay Poison is a solid choice. Let's grab it now. And it's going to last for 5 hours at a whack. That's a really nice buff for your team. Level 6, notice now we're getting another Bardic Talent. And we're getting the ability to do a different type of song called Fascinate. Basically, it's just going to be like a fascination spell Same general principle here. There's a will save. DC check is equal to 10 plus half the bard's level, so 10 plus 3 plus our charisma modifier, which is also a plus 3, so it'd be a DC of 16. Any of the bad guys can become fascinated with that and literally just stand there staring at her until they take damage, is what I remember. So it'd be one of those where the moment they take damage, yeah, any damage to the target automatically breaks the effect. So basically, you're locking down big groups of bad guys, giving your team the chance to buff up, to run over there and clump around one dude, and in one combat turn, have like 3 of your teammates swing at that one guy that's just staring at the pretty song. And that's really, really nice. Again, there's probably a check at every round to make sure that they're not fascinated, I guess. So there's probably every round that they will make a check. So don't waste your time singing the song and then, you know, micromanaging to the point where you're burning 2 or 3 rounds just to get everybody in a position. Don't do that shit. Just go to the first guy, kill that dude. Go to the second guy, kill that dude. Kind of go with that steamrolling effect. And that's a good way to use Fascinate, in my opinion. Okay, this one here, and again, I still don't mind doing like that. Eventually, we'll dump like 4 into use Magic Device out of nowhere just to jump it up a little bit. Again, combat trick is waiting for you. Highly recommend you do so. What are we going to do? We said we wanted Deadly Aim, didn't we? Well, yes and no. This is a penalty to your swing, but a bonus to your damage. This one here, on the other hand, is a bonus to your damage, and that's it. So let's grab Arcane Strike. Then we'll get Deadly Aim, and again, that's going to be a nice synergy, because this is just a solid toggle that will buff any weapon. Doesn't matter if it's ranged or melee. It literally just gets a +1 all the way up by the end of your build to a solid +5 for damage. It likes to shut itself off, so be careful with it. At this point, I really do think you're missing out on Cure Moderate Wounds, and you probably want it. We will make her a solid healer, even if it's a side healing gig. Notice that she can now sing her songs and use a move action instead of taking a full standard action to sing a song. What does that mean? That means if she doesn't move, she can sing a song, so, you know, start her bardic performance, and then still attack. She won't get more than 1 swing with her crossbow, but so what? Or cast a spell even for that matter. She'll only get 1. But again, so what? That's better than what she was doing a moment ago. One of the reasons people routinely don't use her song, in my opinion, and I'm guilty of this all the time too, is because early levels, it really is, she sings her song and that's it. That's all she gets to do. Then she can move a little bit, and that's basically it. It's this point where she suddenly becomes useful. She can sing a song and still do something like attack. So that's nice. Let's actually jump this up now. Again, we're at a solid 12. If we invested in Charisma with gear and get this up another +4, +5, let's say, if we got lucky, this would be finishing at a solid 17. That's almost as good enough. I mean, I wanted to get to about 20, right? So that's a solid choice. Maybe 4 more points to level this off, putting this to a 16. Because if we can get like a hat of Charisma +8, this will go up +4. This will go up another 4 to 16. 4 more points invested in it will take it to a solid 20, and that's what we were shooting for. What are we going to grab now? Where's our Deadly Aim? Bam. Solid damage now from Lindsay. From here, level 1 spell. We have probably 2 more to pick. This one and 1 more, maybe a third. So you got to be kind of choosy here. So what are you going to grab? Well, again, we always like that Flare Burst. Level 3 now. Again, on this list. Damaging Spell and Thundering Drums, Terrible Cone, Teammate Not Friendly, Fortitude Save for the partial effect, that's for having the damage and avoiding being knocked down. But 5d8 of damage is decent damage, and it's sonic. This could be of value. I also like, again, our Summon Monster. I do like Slow is a decent debuff. Haste is a good buff. Good Hope is a solid buff for you and your team. Doesn't last very long, but 7 minutes is 7 goddamn minutes of awesome. +2 to everyone's saves, attack rolls, ability checks, that's like your strength and etc. and so forth, skill checks, and damage. This is an amazing buff. I'll happily take that one. Level 3 then, I'm also going to take, let's grab, I would normally say Deep Slumber, but again, it has an HD cap. And again, she can't spec out of spells. As you see, we have not been offered the chance to spec out of spells. So what you take is what you get. Let's take the opposite of Good Hope, Crushing Despair. As you can see, it dispels Good Hope. So if for whatever reason the bad guys buff up with this, you can say, nope, fuck you, and just strip it right back off. But vice versa. Again, if they hit you with Crushing Despair, you can use Good Hope to strip that penalty off of you. Again, decent 1-2 punch, if you will. Keep going. Nice dexterity, more reflexes, better attack bonus, loving all that stuff. And even her trickery went up a little bit because of that dexterity bump. You don't need to put more in it. We're fine. Perception up. These guys go up some more. And again, what we're looking at right now at a +8. This is at a 12, a 12, a 10, and a 10. That's not bad for someone that's really not heavily investing in this. I mean, look at this 8 down here. This thing is looking at a 13 right now, and she has invested in it. So the fact that she even has keen senses as a halfling, it's better than what it should be. It should be like a +11 right now. So she's doing really well with these stats. From here, what we're going to grab. Let me point you to a few attack type spells besides Crushing Despair. We have Fear. Again, the one that I said was good because it doesn't have an HD cap. And again, I like this one because even if they make the check, they're still shaken for 1 round. They're still in effect. It's not something that Lindsay will be able to capitalize on because it only lasts for 1 fucking round, but the rest of the team can. So again, that's pretty decent. Notice we also have Haste as a nice teammate buff. We have Slow for an AoE enemy buff, and this is teammate friendly. See all the red? So again, this is nice, but between Slow and Haste, if I had a hard choose pick between one or the other, it would be Haste every time. Because Slow may be great, and it does exactly the opposite of what Haste does, sure. But there's a saving throw for Slow. Haste, your team is going to take it. Slow may last for 1 round per level, so does Haste, but if the bad guys die before the duration wears off, so what? They're dead. There's no duration anymore because the spell's gone, right? Because the target's dead. But if you finish the fight and you still have more buff, more rounds of haste still on your character, you and your team may rush to the next goddamn room and mug the next guy and still have haste still on your team. Even if it's for like half the fight, it's still a buff. See what I'm saying? So more bang for your buck, if you will, out of haste versus slow, in my opinion. Again, I do like pets, and I think she does make a good person for summoning, even if it's just tangentially. It doesn't have to be something that you get like spell focus conjuration, augmented summoning, and superior summoning. We don't have to go crazy. We can just have her summon pets every now and again. Why? Because they will take over the battlefield and flood the battlefield with just random monsters on our side. And that comes in super handy. Dirge of Doom now. This is another way to make targets shaken based on her song. Still a saving throw associated with it, I'm sure. The effect persists as long as the image is. Oh my god, there is no saving throw for this? That can't be right. There's got to be a saving throw. It's just not telling us. Otherwise, that's awesome. Anyway, moving on. Notice now she has Inspire Greatness as another type of song that she has. Again, at this point, oops, can't put all of them in there yet, so we'll just wait. So let's go here, 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 and here again. Oh, what are we going to grab now? Do we want to get a weapon focus in that light crossbow? It's another +1 to your swing. There is nothing wrong with having another bonus to your swing. Again, you do not want to miss. Other stuff that comes in handy is clustered shots. The multiple attacks of the same target, ignoring their damage reduction, comes in super handy. Other stuff that might be of interest to you, obviously dodge, anything that buffs your skills. So here's Deft Hands, here's Deceitful. Again, there's a variety of stuff in here. Extra performances a day. Improved initiative is always nice, but with her being a dex-based build, this is less likely to be important. Many shot is useless. It says specifically in the very first sentence, when you're making a full attack with a bow, that's how you know not crossbow. That's why it doesn't work for crossbow. As far as ranged attacks, we're about done, with the exception, like I said, of weapon focus. That's about it. It might be improved critical that we can unlock for light crossbow, and we probably should, but that's about it. Level 3, what we're going to grab at this point. I do like protection, so a nice buff for her or a teammate is displacement. A 50% chance to straight up miss your ass can't be discounted. Going Bard. Now we can finish this off. Now I'd say never touch use magic device again. So we got 10 points in it. You get yourself a nice tiara of +8 charisma. Makes this go up +4 more. Makes this goes up +4 more. So a solid 20. That's all we really wanted. Remember? Because now we roll a 1d20. And if it's a level 9 spell, you just need to roll a 9 or better. If it's a level 3 spell, you need to roll a 3 or better. And again, I think on a nat 1 it still fails. So there is no guaranteed passing of the check. So that's always the thing. But I'm still happy with that, and that's more than enough. And now we never need to touch it again. We can invest in things like stealth maybe every now and again, or mobility every now and again on you. For here, we can again do another combat trick. Is there anything in here worth a damn grabbing? Let's see. Precise strike, no. Outflank, no. Improved armor strike, no. Improved initiative, possible. Dodge, good choice. Combat reflexes, I don't think works for you for attacks of opportunity, unless it's a melee attack. So I don't think we get to shoot our bow at them or crossbow at them for attacks of opportunity. So that's the thing. So let's just go back to dodge. Blind fight is a solid choice. We can give her better armor. Clustered shots. Let's give her clustered shots. Yeah, I like that. Level 2. Again, we got a nice buff. We got a nice buff. We got a nice buff. We got a nice heal. Is there anything that's offensive in this list that we'd like? Let's grab that Sense Vitals now. Why? Because here's greater invisibility, baby. And now we have the ability to 1-2 punch. We turn ourselves invisible. We can attack with Sense Vitals on 2. And we never lose our invisibility while we're attacking. That's why greater invisibility is better. So that means it's a perfect chance for us to do some sneak attack love. What else might we grab? Well, for level 4, again, a summon spell's decent. The medium elementals are not that bad. I do appreciate them. I like the small and the mediums more than I like the large ones. Shout's decent one for some damage. Rainbow Pattern, teammate friendly, solid HD, a fuck you to the bad guys. And again, a nice Dazed is a really nice fuck you to the bad guys. A Dazed is the one where they just stand there. They can defend themselves, but they do not attack. So it's a nice, nope, we're not doing anything until you guys literally make your check or the spell wears off. That's really, really nice. We can do freedom of movement. That's a solid protection buff for you or your team. I actually like that one. Let's actually grab that. Because again, being able to be immune to like things like paralysis, slow spells, web spells, all that fun stuff is amazing. And again, all combat maneuver checks made to grapple the target automatically fail. I mean, just really good stuff that comes from freedom of movement. Lasts a long time. You can cast it on multiple people. Again, extremely viable. Jack of all trades just showed up. Notice this, +1 on all skill checks. So that use magic device is actually at a 21 with that gear we talked about at this point. That's pretty nice. Inspired competence, doing good now. Again, just to reiterate, Jack of all trades right actually at a 17. These ones here were at a 16, 16. That would be a what, 14. Yeah, 14 and 14. So looking really, really good. Let's get that perception up. Let's get these guys up some more. From here, let's get that improved critical for that light crossbow. So she's doing really good with her crossbow now. And crossbows, I believe, crit on a 19 and 20 normally, whereas bows, I think, crit on a nat 20. So this is even better because now instead of it being 19 and 20, it'll be 17, 18, 19, and 20. Level 1 spell, this is probably your last one. So pick something that you want. Pass, maybe. Go back to it. Maybe for that one. Pass, 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 pass. Maybe Unbreakable Heart, because again, I do like the suppression effect. Yeah, let's do that. Level 4. I don't mind grabbing Cure Critical. I know we don't have the other cure here. We'll probably pick that up before too long. But I do like being able to heal on various levels for her. And again, she comes in handy when she needs a damage and undead. Notice that she has these AoE soothing performance. It uses a lot of her bard songs, but literally just a straight up boom AoE heal to the team. It's really, really nice. Again, we have 3 more points to spend. We're going to put them all into dexterity, take the 20 and then 1 into strength, or we could do 2 and 2 and then 1 into strength. So this could go up to an 18. There's nothing wrong with that option. I still maintain that dexterity is a solid choice for her though. Get perception up, get these guys up, call that good. Level 4, I'm going to grab, I think she needs some offensive attack. Let's get some shout going on. This is a nice AoE. This is also not teammate friendly, but there's no spell resistance on this. And the fortitude save has the damage and negates the stun effect. The damage is always 5d6. The stun though is really, really nice, and if you can get at least one guy with that stun, it comes in super handy. She's doing well. Swift action now for activating her song, so it means you're going to use those more often than not. Now at this point, since you are going to be stealthing, you're using your sense vitals and your greater invis, I do recommend that you start investing in stealth a little more. Yes, greater invis means you're invisible, and that gives you a plus 20 to your stealth by default, but wouldn't you like to have more? I know I would. So now with that, I was about to say song, with that spell on, she'd be at a 37 stealth. That's not amazing. It's still pretty goddamn good though. What are we going to grab now? I mean, we really have most of the stuff that we want. Let's just take another walk through to make sure there's not something with a ranged attack that we still want to have. Toughness could be good. Spell pen could be good. Meta magic is not the worst idea ever. Initiative is okay. Extra performance is always a staple. Dodge is always a value. Critical focus, a better chance to confirm a crit for that crossbow shot. There's nothing wrong with that. Combat expertise, yeah. Blind fight is still a good choice. Lingering performance is a good choice. This one gets fiddly though. This is the one where, if you don't mind micromanaging, let's just say it this way. This is a great one to grab. You should have grabbed it sooner. What does this do? You can activate a song, shut it right the fuck back off. That song will persist for that round and 2 rounds after. So you're getting 3 rounds for the price of 1, but you have to shut it off. So that's the thing. So routinely I will just turn the song on and forget that I even have it, or use it for like a competence check for like a skill, you know, like athletics check or something. Turn it on, shut it right the hell back off, do the check, you're done, because you only need 1 round to do the check. Bam, easy peasy pumpkin squeezy. So again, lingering performance isn't very necessary, but if you're really limited and you don't mind micromanaging your bard, especially if you're using like turn-based combat, which this game now has, this is amazing. So actually I will grab lingering performance. I've convinced myself it's worth a damn. Level 3 spell, I'm going to grab haste just to look at it and then see if there's anything that I'd rather have besides haste. Thundering drums is okay. I'd rather have haste versus slow. Overwhelming grief. This one I can't discount as being a bad choice. This is actually a solid choice. Why? Because this is one that not only do they take a massive penalty if they fail their check, of course, that's a big if. They are considered flat-footed. You see the part where it says, and lose their dexterity bonus, if any. That's the definition of flat-footed. It's single target, and it's close range, which means you have to shoot it at a distance, but it's not that far away, which is dangerous. But if they fail it, they're flat-footed, which means she, with sense vitals, even without being invisible, could suddenly sneak attack. Knock Knock, who has sneak attack built into his build because he's a rogue, he'll sneak attack like crazy on that target. Same with Octavia. She get like acid splash cantrip to the face and probably get another 5d6 to 10d6 of sneak attack on that son of a bitch. So again, this is a decent spell for setting up a lot of bad things. And even if you're not sneak attacking, the fact that they don't have a dex bonus, the fact that they even take a -2 penalty to their armor class 2, in addition to the lack of dexterity, means they're straight up broken. And what's more, they take no actions. So they're grieving for the entire duration of the spell until they make that check. This is not that bad. I do like using Lindsay as a team buffer though, hence haste. We have at least 1 more spell coming. And again, we still want to grab that heal. So the question is do we want the heal and haste, or do we want the haste and, where did it go? The overwhelming grief. Or fear. Again, solid choices. You have to be choosy. Level 5. Now I saw it. I know I have to grab it. Shadow Evocation. This is just too good to pass up. Again, I told you they're good at enchantments and illusions. This is one of the big illusion spells that they are awesome at. And again, gives her a utility. So Fireball, Lightning Bolt, Shout, Volcanic Storm, or Ice Storm, all packed into one spell. She just has to pick or choose which one she's doing. From there, on this list, notice we have Greater Heroism, +4 to your swing, or your teammates' swing, +4 to their saves, their skill checks, immune to fear, +4, 10 pitch point equal to your caster level up to a max of 20. This is a solid buff. It just doesn't last very long, but again, at this point, 13 minutes is a lot of the dungeon. So again, this is a solid buff. Kai Shout, if you want to do single target damage, that's some solid damage. This is decent. I just wish it didn't have spell resistance on it. If you want to do something of some serious fun, we have Summon Monsters, We also have, as weird as it is to say, Phantasmal Web, another illusion spell. And this one's pretty freaking baller. So not only is this web, but it's this web that after the second round, if they fail the next check, they're covered with phantasmal spiders and they become nauseated, which means they're puking their guts out. So this is like web spell and stinking cloud all combined together. And the best part, teammate friendly. So let's grab both of those. Going. Now, instead of that fear effect that we wanted, or fear spell that we wanted to grab, notice that she's got the frightening tune, so she can just make people scared, period, which is freaking awesome. Again, nothing else is showing up here that's of value to me other than either fast stealth or combat trick. Canny Observer, I should say, is kind of useful. This is a bonus to your perception. And again, a +4 is a +4. Make her really good at spotting stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're going to get Canny Observer, go to Skill Focus first and grab Perception. Why? Because it's a +3. Why is that better than a +4? Keep reading. If you get 10 ranks or more in it, and I guarantee we've put in 20 by the end of this build, she gets a +6 instead of a +3, which is definitely better than the +4. So you want the skill focus first. But I'm not doing that. We're doing combat tricks again because there's just too many good things in here to pass up. What might we want in here now? We can grab initiative. Dodge is still valuable. Again, critical focus, so we're more likely to crit with that crossbow. Blind fighting is looking good. I think I'll take blind fighting. Fuck it. And blind fighting is a nice one because this is the one where you literally, I know it's for melee stuff, but it's the fact that we're not losing our dexterity bonus when we're being attacked by an invisible attacker. And this biggie here, the immunity to gaze attacks, that's the thing that you really wanted. Level 2. Again, probably the last spell for level 2. So be choosy. I see Mirror Image, and you better believe that's a solid choice. If not, Glitter Dust is here. And again, I can't tell you the right answer here. I know that I like lighting up invisible targets because they're annoying to me. And I know you may just say, well, you just got blind fighting, but that doesn't mean that I can see them. That just means that they're not sneaking up on me as easy as they should. So this is still useful, and this is useful for the team, and the blinding effect is useful for the team. So again, there's a lot of real good from Glitter Dust, and the fact that there's no spell resistance is money. But given the choice of having extra protection for myself or being able to situationally fuck up invisible targets and blind people, I'd rather have that protection for myself. Level 5, I'm going to shy away from the mass cure spells because she just sucks at those things. I will happily take something that does damage though, so let's grab ourselves that Kai Shout. Going Bard. Should get another song. These are looking really good now. Where are we at right now? 22s and 20s. That's looking really, really nice. Alright, what are we grabbing here? We got our Lingering Performance. I could get her armor focus and light armor, because that's what she's wearing. I can make her a cautious fire, but notice this is the one that we're going to do on our melee build. Because she fights defensively, she gets a +2 to her dodge. Only halflings can pick this one up. This is one of the reasons why I say she can actually be a pretty decent off-tank, because you can build her in a way that makes her extremely tough. And this video is so long that I think I'll do that video separate, just so we kind of keep this one short-ish. So what are we going to grab? Focus is okay. Dodge is still useful. Extra performance is always nice. Improved blind fight. Oh, what is this one now? Your melee attacks ignore mischance for less than total concealment. She doesn't melee. You may still re-roll blah blah blah. If you successfully pinpoint an invisible or hidden attacker within 30 feet, the attacker gets no advantage related to hitting you with ranged attacks. Again, that benefits her at range. I'm okay with that, but now look at improved precise shot. Your ranged attacks ignore anything but total concealment and cover. So this is a way for her to ignore 20% concealment on a bad guy. So if you have like a spider, this is common for these things in this game, where the spiders have either blur on or displacement. Blur is 20%, so basically partial concealment, not total concealment. This would ignore that, and she would shoot right through that shit. So I'm cool with improved precise shot for her. Level 5. What we're going to grab now. I do like Greater Heroism. I do like Mind Fog. I don't like Resonating Word because this is the one that does solid damage, but we already got Kai Shout, and this one just ticks for damage. But it does have more than just damage associated with it, because there's a saving throw to avoid being staggered. There's a saving throw in the next round to avoid being stunned, and then there's a saving throw in the round after that to avoid being stunned again. So there is some utility here. And it's got a nice range to it too. But it's one of those where I'm not likely to want to have something that just ticks for damage. But I do like Mind Fog. And it's dangerous for your team, so be careful with it. But again, a massive penalty to the bad guy. And this is a solid fuck you to those saving throws. Because again, -10 to their wisdom checks and will saves. Them will save penalties are huge because those are going to be things that capitalize on our Shadow Evocation, our Phantasmal Web. Hell, even our Hideous Laughter is a will save. Anything else? Crushing Despair is a will save. Again, we got a lot of good will save spells, so again, pretty cool. Bard. Last point in dexterity, the last point after that will go into strength. So again, solid dexterity, solid swing for your attacks, nice reflexes, I mean really pretty. And her will saves are looking pretty damn stiff too. The fortitude is the thing that probably worries you the most. Let's put this here, and let's actually put 4 more into stealth so she can become really good at stealthing. She's at solid 22 right now. Notice that, that's pretty badass. And again, when she casts any one of those invisibility spells, that's Vanish, Invisibility, or Greater Invis on herself, she gets another 20 added to that. So she'd be at a 42 for stealthing. That's pretty fucking cool. A level 4, this is probably not your last level 4 spell. You probably got one more after this, but I would say when you're getting down to where it's like these high level spells, if you don't know, treat it as if it's your last spell. Okay, so if you want Dimension Door, grab it fucking now. If you want Break Enchantment, here's your chance. If you want to dominate person or hold monster or rainbow pattern or what have you, it's here for you. Grab it. I recommend, honestly, I do like rainbow pattern. And as weird as it is, and we're getting a lot of illusion spells you see now. But I like this one because, again, massive AoE, I mean, really big burst, nice range, good duration on it by this point. 16 rounds is basically they're dead. And it will affect a large number of monsters. And even if it's like at the very end of the game where they have, 22 HD per monster, you will at least affect one, poof, if of course they fail their check. And again, we have a way to soften them up for will saves. Remember, actually we have a couple ways to doing that. So again, I kind of like Rainbow Pattern for that reason. Level 6 spells. What do we have in here that would be of value? Well, first, a summon. Either of these are a viable option for you. I'm not a fan of this one for her because she's not evil. If she's not evil, that means she's summoning these goddamn Berlani Azadas, and they throw lightning bolts everywhere. And you'd be like, fuck, that sounds sweet. Free electric damage everywhere you go. But the downside is these guys can't be controlled, and they like to shoot through the team. So if you know that the team will be protected, this is a solid choice. If you're not evil. If you are evil, then this is a great choice, because it doesn't matter if you're protected or not, because you're not summoning those, you're summoning things like the Red Caps or a Soul Eater. And those little fuckers are awesome, and they're teammate friendly. As weird as it is to say the evil team has the best pets. But summon Huge Elemental, while I said I didn't like the large one, that's at level 5. The huge ones, on the other hand, are fucking monsters, and my favorite, again, still being the Earth Elemental. He's a tough son of a bee, and if you need something to tank for you to keep people off of Lindsay, Huge Earth Elemental is a solid choice. Greater Shout, of course, is a solid choice as well. Solid damage. Again, another stun for 1 round. No spell resistance. The Fortitude save removes the stun and halves the damage. But again, 10d6 dropping to 5d6 in a big hogging cone like this is still okay for me. Other stuff in this list that might be of interest to me would be Overwhelming Presence is a big fuck you. I think I'm going to grab that Huge Elemental though. We'll get the Overwhelming Presence later. Bam. Barred it up. Barred it up. Alrighty. These guys are looking at pretty at a 24, 24, 22, and a 22. And remember, we're going to have Intelligence gear and Wisdom gear that makes those numbers go higher as well. What we got in these last two? Well, honestly, we've done everything I wanted to do. I mean, there's other stuff in here that can make the build more fun, like Critical Focus could still be useful, Dodge could still be useful. But remember, we've never grabbed Spell Pen or Spell Focus. Maybe now's the time. Maybe now you really do want Spell Focus in. We've been getting a lot of illusion spells. Maybe you want to buff it just a little bit to make sure that shit lands. From here, this is your last level 3 spell. I can pretty much guarantee that. So what are you going to grab? Do you want damage? Do you want to slow guys down? We got that Overwhelming Grief we were looking at. I do like the ability to set people up. And again, not just setting her up for sneak attack. This sets up all kinds of teammates for sneak attack. And penalty to their armor class. And a lot of really good to have from this little bastard here. Level 6. We said we wanted Overwhelming Presence. So this one's Overwhelming Grief. This was Overwhelming Presence. What's the difference here? Choose a card for duration of the spell. Each round after that, the target of the spell may attempt a new saving throw. Creature that recovers from the spell early will take wisdom damage. That's awesome. And be staggered for 1 to 4 rounds. That's even more awesome. A creature that succeeds at initial save to resist this spell is merely staggered for 1 round. I think this is this spell on crack. I think this is the AoE version of this spell. Overwhelming Presence versus Overwhelming Grief. I think that's what this is. Not only does it do the same thing, but AoE style and teammate friendly, but if they break out of it, they take wisdom penalty. Awesome. And they're still staggered, so they're still in effect, even if they make their check. That makes it amazing. We'll take that one. Cool. That one there. And are we going to go all in on stealth some more? 26. That's looking pretty. From here, let's do a combat trick. Actually, do we want a combat trick? Is there anything in here that we want anymore? Probably dodge, right? Or improve blind flight because of the 30%. Yeah, let's do that. Improve blind fight. That'll protect us from those invisible ranged attackers. And then here we're going to grab maybe bring inspiration. Which one are you again? This is a buff. You open a link between your mind and the subject's mind, giving advice and encouragement for as long as the spell is in effect. Each time the spell makes an attack roll, ability check, or skill check, it rolls 2, takes the better. If it rolls a natural 20, the spell lands. Oh, so basically this is advantage for all your checks for until you roll a nat 20 or until the spell wears off. I'll take that. That sounds awesome. Going. Now this is going to be our last feat. What are we going to grab for our last feat? Do we want Greater Spell Focus Illusion? Sure, why not? And a level 5. This is our last level 5 spell, I'm fairly certain. What are we going to grab here? Do we want to get another Animal Summons? Do we want to get a large elemental? Again, I'm not a fan of the large one. Joyful Rapture. Ally. Remove penalty buff. I'd rather have Greater Heroism. Let's do that. Looking good, kid. Looking good. Last one. And now, of course, you got your Deadly Performance, where you basically are just killing people by singing at them. Last point, since nothing really benefits from being odd except for strength and allow her to carry more, that's basically it. It's still worth doing. I will put 1 in Perception, and then the question is which would we rather have? Would we rather have these guys up to 27, 27, 25, and 25, or go all in on that damn stealth again and get it up to a 30 plus 20 from the spell that she would cast on herself. She'd be at a solid 50. Let's do that. Last level 4 and level 6 spells. So we do have 1 level 4 spell still to pick. Alright, what are we going to grab? See if this communal could come in handy. Lasts for a long period of time. We could do Dominate Person, Echolocation. That's not as good to me as See Invisibility Communal. Let's do See Invisible Communal. And for last level 6 spell, and 1 Eye Bite. I probably would take, what's Euphoric Tranquility? Boring. Waves of Ecstasy. And the reason we're going to go with this one, for those of you wondering why, notice the effects on this. There's a partial will save. It lasts for an okay amount of time. Decent cone, not teammate friendly. But if they fail, they're affected for a stun for 1 round and then staggered for the remainder of the spell. That's awesome. But keep reading. All creature that makes its will save is staggered for the first round and can act normally thereafter. So even if they make the check for at least 1 round, there's going to be a staggered effect. And that's still of value to me. And I'm okay with that. We just need to be careful we don't hit our team with it. And that's our build. So just to show you the character, she's rocking a generic light crossbow. She's getting 4 attacks a round. We give her any kind of haste spell or speed weapon, and suddenly she'll go up to 5 attacks a round. Again, part of that's because of the rapid shot. Of course, with Deadly Aim on, she's doing really good for herself. It's just not updating as far as damage is concerned here. Maybe it is. Oh, it is updating it. Yeah, because -4 plus 8. That's why you're seeing the plus 8. But if you give her like a... Oh, we're missing the Arcane Strike. probably because it's paused. Rapid shot, deadly aim. Come on, turn on your arcane strike, kid. Now, here we go. Okay, that's a better number. That's what I was looking for. So another 5, let's say if you give her another +5 weapon, she could be up to a solid +18 on her damage. That's not bad. There's gear out there that will also increase her damage for ranged attacks as well as her bonus to swing with ranged attacks. That's worth a damn. You give her the best light armor you can find her. There's a lot of different choices out there. There's even one that's really good for crossbows. Look at my old crossbowman fighter video for that one. There's variety of gear that'll buff her intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. You can give her the crown. Since you're not going to use it, you're going to take the best gear, which is, of course, the hat of +8, 8, and 8, more likely than not. Or you can give that to Lindsay. Make her look like a wizard. That'd be an 8 to intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. That'd be a +4, a +4, and a +4 added to these 3 stats on this side. And again, that would really push her to a nice place to be. You give her something that would capitalize on that dexterity. Strength is useful for her only because of carrying capacity, because you're going to be loaded down with gear. But by and large, as long as you got like a strength of like 11, you're probably going to be fine with her. And then you literally are just going to go all in on dexterity to make sure that it's a really good solid chance to hit with that bow. As far as bows are concerned, just to show you some items that are of value. Well, let's do this. We'll type in Bard. These are things that are affected by bardic performance in some way, shape, or form. So we got Vest of Mirrors. If you have the bardic performance ability, you can use it 4 more rounds a day. That doesn't sound like amazing, but it's a solid +3 leather. And notice this. You can cast Displacement 3 times a day as a 5th level wizard for free. That's not the worst piece of armor to have. Other stuff like your Flamboyant Hat, that's a charisma bonus hat, not amazing, but another 2 rounds a day of bardic performance as well, that's okay. Bardishes are showing up because of bardic. I wonder if I can do space. There we go. Singing Edge. Long Spear, that's not something that she would use. But if that's not your thing, other things to talk about would be Illusion. So Maya's Charm. All the wearer's spells from enchantment and illusions have their DCs increased by 2. That's her thing. And the wearer takes a -2 penalty to strength. That's not her thing. Notice that you'd have to be good to wear it, and I can't remember if Lindsay's a good person. If she is, I think she is, then this would be a good choice for her. Okay. Notice that we also have Golden Vision, +1 bonus to the illusion school spells DC, +2 to your saves against illusion spells. These are on bracers. This is something you would definitely want to give Lindsay. Deceiver's Hat, bonus to wisdom, increase to DC of all illusion spells cast by the wearer. This is a solid choice for her. Again, you can really get her DC checks for illusion high is my point to you. And again, that's not the only thing. The reason I say that is because while illusion is listed here, obviously, there's gear out there that would say it doesn't buff illusion spells per se. It'll say it'll buff mind affecting. So if you type in mind affecting like that, maybe Reckless Courage might be one of those examples. Yeah, +2 bonus to the DC of mind affecting spells cast by the wearer. What are mind affecting spells? Usually enchantments and illusions. Not the only thing, but this is a solid thing. And again, this is a ring that you would probably give Lindsay. Plus to charisma, plus to stealth and trickery. It's 2 things that she gives a shit about. 3 things if you count charisma. 4 if you talk about attacks made to confirm critical hits with her bow. That's fucking awesome. And then a bonus to all her illusion and enchantment spells. Definitely, and probably some others besides. Notice that it's a penalty to some other stuff. So again, Reckless Courage. So penalty to wisdom, penalty to perception checks. She's got really good perception anyway. I don't care about that. -2 resistance to will saves. That sucks. And -10 on all saving throws against traps. That just means don't let her disarm the trap. Let someone else fucking do it. And you may say, well, she's just getting the bonus to trickery. Yes, I know. But even with that +4 bonus to trickery, she'll still fail those checks. So give it to Knock Knock. Give it to Octavia. Let Lindsay wear something like this, and again, you'll be pretty happy. It may not be the best gear, but it's a solid choice. I think if you build Lindsay correctly, and I think we've done a solid choice, maybe the order is a little funny for certain things, like, maybe Lingering Performance should have been sooner. But we've shuffled stuff around before. You guys know how to do that stuff. And again, the illusions came very, very late as far as spell focus is concerned. But if you're giving her gear that buffs her charisma, that increases the DC checks of all her spells. You can start giving her stuff that, again, affects mind-affecting spells. That includes her illusion. You give her stuff that specifically affect illusions, and again, an obvious buff. And then these are just like the gravy on top. Okay? I think this is a solid build for Lindsay. This is not necessarily my best work ever, but for what she needs to do as a ranged attacker, you will enjoy having this character on your team. Again, shuffle stuff around as needed, and as far as skills are concerned, this is what she finished at. And again, remember, we're not modded in any way yet as far as gear. So again, all these numbers will go up guaranteed. So we can realistically expect her knowledge checks and her lore checks to be some of the best in the game. Solid 30s at least. Low 30s, low 30s, let's just say it that way, for those checks. Then, as far as perception, again, low 30s. Stealth, amazing. You'll be in the 50s for sure. You cast Greater Invis or Vanish or Invisibility on yourself, it's another plus 20. And again, you'll give her dexterity-based gear, so you'll definitely be in the 50s for stealth. Trickery, you'll probably be into the high teens. Use Magic Device, you'll be in the low 20s, which is, as we've said, all you really need to be able to roll that die and have a pretty decent check for rolling any spell level 1 through 9. And again, any spell that she could have picked up, she doesn't even do a Use Magic Device check. I highly recommend that you hand her that gear. Those wands, those scrolls should be Lindsay's to cast. Or someone else that also has those spells, like Harem, because he has a lot of the cleric spells, obviously. So does Lindsay. So again, if it falls on her spell list, though, it's something you can hand her, and you can just trust that she'll be able to use it in combat and, of course, out of combat. What I would use her Use Magic Device for would probably not be in combat spells. Maybe for like the low level stuff, like a fireball every now and again, or a lightning bolt, shit like that. Level 3, level 4 stuff and on down. But if I really wanted to make sure it's going to work, it would be something that I'd probably use for like buffing. So give her like a wand, like a wand of fiery body, just to give you an example. That's a spell that's like level 9 wizard spell. She may not be able to cast it on the first try, but if she's not casting it in combat, you can just check it, nope, check it, nope, check it, I passed, and now she has the buff, or gave it to someone else, or whatever. So you would use her to pre-buff the team with wands and scrolls and stuff, and again, she would be perfectly suited for that role with Use Magic Device and a little bit of charisma bump besides. And again, can't stress enough, let's just force rest her, just so you can see how many songs and stuff that she has a day without any fancy gear. She's rocking 51 uses of her goddamn bardic performance right now, and then this member is based on how many levels she has of bard, as well as how much charisma she has too. So again, this with a charisma bump, she could definitely be in the low 50s, maybe mid 50s, which is a solid amount of uses of those things. She has plenty of spells a day. As you can see, she has infinite uses of those cantrips, 6 uses a day of these guys, 6, 6, 5, 5, and 5. And again, if you give her more charisma, many of those numbers will go up, which is really nice because it gives her a variety of uses. She has the ability to heal the team AoE style. She can buff the team to a really good level of attack bonus, damage bonus, and all that fun jazz. She has the ability to make your competence checks really, really good. So again, while her skills may sound like they were not that great, look at them now. See what I'm saying? She has that one song going, and she's at a goddamn +6 to everything across the board. That's freaking awesome. And again, for an athletics check that a moment ago was like a goddamn 6, it's pretty goddamn good that it's at a +12 now. Just saying. So she does a really good job for making sure the team is buffed, healed, and the bad guys are debuffed, and she's still able to put out damage besides. I think you guys will like this as an unmodded build for Lindsay. Like I said, I'll do another video separate than this because this one's already too long. And I'll show you what we can do if we like double dip. We'll do like a Scale Fist Monk dip, 1 level. And then we'll take Lindsay 19 levels total of Bard. Show you what she can do doing melee fighting and tanking it up. She can be pretty goddamn tough in the front ranks. And the fact that she can self-heal and self-buff makes her a really, really good frontliner, if that's what your goal was. So again, that'll be the second video. But with that, my name is Brother Mutant. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me what you think of this build. You're looking forward to seeing the second build. Do you think the second build is even necessary? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye now.